Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. For those of you who are new to the channel, a good way to support the channel for free is by leaving a thumbs up. This is a video that I've wanted to make for a very long time. Basically trying to figure out exactly how much Bitcoin is left. Only 21 million Bitcoin, but over the last 4, 5, 6 months, we've had news that a lot of companies, a lot of corporations, a lot of family offices, a lot of institutions, a lot of banks have been buying up huge amounts of Bitcoin. I actually expected someone else to make this video before. No one did. So here I am, going over all the numbers that I could find. None of this is creepy. Like I wasn't like, ooh, how much do they have? Like I was actually, all the information is publicly available on the internet, but I think this will put it better into perspective that there's really not a lot of Bitcoin actually left. My initial estimate was that there was 1 million Bitcoin actually around circulating, and that is not the case. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. I'm gonna go over all the names that I could find and exactly how much Bitcoin that we know that they have, and then other variables. First up are the Winklevoss Twins. They announced in 2013, 14, or 15 that they had roughly around 1% of all the Bitcoin in the world at that time. The Winklevoss Twins for a number of years, at least 6 to 7 years, have been so heavily into Bitcoin that I believed, logically, that the number that they told us in 2015 has to be much higher than what it currently is. In 2015, it was believed that they owned anywhere between 170,000 to 200,000 Bitcoin in 2015. And I'm leaving it at that number because I would like to assume that they owned more, logically speaking. However, these are the numbers that we have. Next up is a guy named, can never pronounce this right, Shamal Palpitaya, very popular within the cryptocurrency space. He's also believed to be the owner of around 1 million Bitcoin. If you type in, oh gosh, Palpitaya is like Palpithaya and then 1 million Bitcoin. You'll find that as well. Mike Novogratz has a net worth of $1.5 billion. He recently stated about 2 or 3 days ago that everyone, he said, everyone should have 2 to 3% of their net worth into Bitcoin. He got into Bitcoin around 2015. Bitcoin in 2015 was $400. If we assume that he didn't have a net worth of 1.5 billion, but a net worth of around 1 billion, 5 years ago, 2 to 3% allocation would give him around, what is it, 215, 2 to 3%, 300,000 Bitcoin. But as I wrote that down, I was looking a little bit further and I found out that Mike Novogratz had announced in 2015 that he was starting a $500 million Bitcoin fund, and $150 million of his own money would be going into that fund, which then gives him 500,000 Bitcoin. Right. Barry Silbert, who's the CEO of Grayscale stated and told us about 2 weeks ago at the time of me making this video that they hold now at least 526,000 Bitcoin. That is 526,000 Bitcoin. The amount of Bitcoin that Grayscale has been amassing over the last couple of months, people have been looking through the numbers. It's a lot. Like it's actually more than is actually even being created right now. And if they continue on this path of their current trend of accumulation, they're going to own 10% of all the Bitcoin in the world. 1 out of every 10 coins will belong to one company called Grayscale. Roger Ver, what have you, has been in Bitcoin since around, I could find things around 2013 to 14. Around 2014 and 2015, he announced that he had a huge amount of Bitcoin. In 2017, he created a coin called Bitcoin Cash and had announced that he was transferring a huge amount of the Bitcoin that he had into Bitcoin Cash. So if you had Bitcoin when the fork happened, you got an equal amount of Bitcoin Cash. He said that he believed in Bitcoin Cash more, therefore he traded off his Bitcoin into more Bitcoin Cash. But he did not sell off all of his Bitcoin, and it is believed that he still owns over 100,000 Bitcoin, I assume as a hedge or just in case at this point. Raoul Pal, who's been in the news a lot lately, here's another really weird one. He recently said 3 days ago at the time of me making this video that everyone should have, no. He said that he has 98% of his wealth in Bitcoin. When I looked around, I found really weird conflicting answers because I don't think there's an actual number for this. I found that his net worth was $15 million. If you assume 98% of that into Bitcoin, $14 million, gives him around 777 Bitcoin. But when I found news, I found information that Raoul Pal is like one of the richest people on the planet, and that apparently, allegedly, he's making like $1 million a week or something like that. So the net worth of 15 million just didn't make a lot of sense. I found the net worth of 15 million about 2 or 3 times, but I kept on finding other things saying that he was extremely wealthy, making millions all the time. So the 15 million just didn't really. Anyway, 14 million gives you 777 Bitcoin. Tim Draper purchased that we know of, 2 big purchases. In 2014, I remember that there was an auction for Bitcoin that the US something or other had captured from a website that they said was illicit, was terrible, yada, yada, yada. And from this website, they got 30,000 Bitcoin and they held an auction. Who wants it? Who wants the Bitcoin? Who wants the Bitcoin? Tim Draper bought 30,000, the entire lot, in one go. And another 2,000 Bitcoin in 2017. One can only assume as well. These are just the numbers that we've been given that like I said, I found these all on the internet. The crazy part to me is that so many of these people have been into crypto 2013, 2014, 2015. It's a very pivotal time. It's also 5, 6, 7 years ago. It is very hard to believe in my mind that these people got into the cryptocurrency space and bought tons of Bitcoin and then stopped. Many people who announced before that they had gotten into Bitcoin, I don't know who exactly it was somebody on this list, that they had purchased Bitcoin in the very beginning for like $1. And when it went up to, it was the Winklevoss Twins. And then when it went up to $10, they ended up buying more. It was because they kept on seeing that the price was going to go a lot higher. For those of you who do not know, sorry for talking so fast, there's a huge list. For those of you who don't know, Citibank, one of the largest banks in the world, JP Morgan Chase, and a couple of other banks have said that next year, in 2021, depending on when you're looking at this video, Bitcoin's price is going to go anywhere, price prediction, no one knows, going to go anywhere from $100,000 to $300,000 per coin. One can only assume, logically, if you have the chance to buy something for $15,000, $16,000, $17,000, $18,000, $19,000, even $20,000, that's going to potentially go to $300,000, you're going to accumulate as much more of it as you possibly can. So this is why I say even the numbers that we're getting, I know they're not accurate because they're such low balls because these people have been into cryptocurrencies for such a long amount of time. Tim Draper, 2014, purchased 30,000 Bitcoin and another 2,000 in 2017, and that's all the information that we have for Tim Draper. I would assume between 2015 and 2016, he picked up some more. And logically, from 2017 to 2020, where we currently are right now, assumption he's probably purchased a lot more. Tim Draper is one of the loudest voices in the cryptocurrency space, and everyone knows who he is. Jack Dorsey, who's the head of Twitter, is believed to own around 5,000 Bitcoin. That was the only number that I could find for Jack Dorsey. Jack Dorsey says and believes that Bitcoin is going to be the world currency in the next 10 years. He also said before that he maxes out the amount of Bitcoin that he can buy every single day on Cash App, which at the point before was like a 1.5 Bitcoin. Who knows exactly how much it is now, but it's believed that he is accumulating at least 1 Bitcoin a day just on the app that he's using, just to max it out. One can only assume other places that he's also buying as well. Jack Dorsey, 5,000 Bitcoin. MicroStrategy in September is a massive company who announced in September that they had made 2 major purchases of Bitcoin that equaled roughly around $425 million. Bitcoin's price since then has skyrocketed. MicroStrategy said that they bought each Bitcoin for roughly around $9,954 per coin. So they've made a pretty hefty sum, and they said that they purchased then, in September, 38,250 Bitcoin. We can only assume that since then, they've also been purchasing more as well. Here's where it gets a little bit crazy, and a lot of people don't know a lot of this news. We had news in 2017 that allegedly many countries who were then under US sanctions and are still under US sanctions had silently decided amongst themselves that they were going to start collecting tons of cryptocurrencies. The idea was that we read for us was that they were going to try and find a way to circumvent US sanctions and create an economy within themselves. In 2017 and 2018, we got news that North Korea, right, possibly owns around $500 million worth of cryptocurrency, and it's estimated that they have around 30,000 Bitcoin. And that's the only country that I have here because the other ones are just speculation. We know that North Korea does definitely own it because people have tied hacks that have happened directly to them, and we've seen where the coins have flowed, so that's kind of the idea. But this still leaves out all the other countries who we also heard from in 2017 and 2018 from their finance ministers or someone who was close to the government that they were also going to start buying cryptocurrencies as well. So if North Korea has around 30,000 Bitcoin, one can only assume the 15 other countries under sanctions probably have at least 2,000 to 5,000. I'm lowballing it once again as just a logical idea. Keeping in mind, and I said this on the other channel, tons of people who are getting into the cryptocurrency space rule finance, control the financial world that we currently live in right now. Their influence of saying, I bought $500 million worth of Bitcoin in one go is going to cause other players to start getting into it as well. So even the numbers that we're getting are still extremely low, and we tend to only get news in one fell swoop. Hey, we bought this much Bitcoin, and that's all the news that we're going to give you. I doubt that MicroStrategy or any other company was buying so much Bitcoin and then suddenly go, yeah, we have enough. That's it. No, we don't want any more. Stop. Everyone stop buying, especially as prices have been rising the last couple of days and weeks and months. Here's also where it gets kind of confusing. If you type in a list for the largest Bitcoin holders in the world, you get a list of 4 or 5 names. Blythe Masters, Dan Moorhead, Brian Armstrong, and Changpeng Zhao. The issue is, Brian Armstrong is the CEO of Coinbase and Changpeng Zhao is the CEO of Binance. There are no numbers for how much they own, but they are constantly at the top of the list for the world's largest Bitcoin holders with no numbers. If we can assume that the Winklevoss Twins, who are also on that list, is the only ones who we actually have numbers for. 170,000 to 200,000 for the Winklevoss Twins. Within the top 5 are the 4 other names: Blythe Masters, Dan Moorhead, Brian Armstrong, and Changpeng Zhao. We can only assume that they have more than 1 Bitcoin. I would assume that it's probably more than 10,000 Bitcoin each, but even in my calculations for the final number, they're not in it because we don't have any numbers for them. I couldn't give them numbers. I'm not gonna make up and go, well, they probably just own 150,000 because no one really knows. But they're known as the top Bitcoin, some of the top Bitcoin holders in the world, constantly on the top 5 list. So this also makes things go a little insane. Yesterday or the day before, the Guggenheim Fund from the Guggenheim family just announced that they are going. It's nonsense. This is exactly why I made this video, to let everyone really understand how insane that this is all getting, because I'm certain that there's no Bitcoin actually left. What we see on cryptocurrency exchanges, sorry for screaming, sorry for talking really fast, I've wanted to make this video for a very long time because I want people to really understand, if you don't got it, you're not going to get it. That's the nicest way of really saying it. The amount of people who are buying up every single day, and I have even more numbers to give you, so that's going to also completely blow your mind. Guggenheim, the Guggenheim Fund just said that they're going to work with Grayscale, the other company I just told you about. They're giving them $500 million, $500 million US dollars into Grayscale, and they plan on purchasing roughly around, if you do the numbers, around 27,000 Bitcoin. Out of nowhere. We've had this conversation before on the other channel as well. Think of how insane it is to bypass real estate, stocks, gold, and say, we have $500 million to place somewhere. Let's place it into Bitcoin. Keeping in mind, once again, 21 million Bitcoin, incredibly finite. So that's another, my mind is like exploding in all directions. Also, in crazy news with no real numbers, and this is also part of the issue. Fidelity, the New York Stock Exchange, the NASDAQ, BlackRock, who is part of the Rockefeller family, backed from the New York Stock Exchange, have all announced their foray into the cryptocurrency space, and that you can even find articles from 2018 and 2019 from the New York Stock Exchange, the head of the New York Stock Exchange and the head of the NASDAQ, that they expect Bitcoin to be a world currency in the next couple of years, if not the only currency. Google it right now, I promise you. We went over it on the other channel. And that's what's so insane, because I keep telling people, and I just mentioned that as well, I keep telling people what is happening, what's going on, and I'm hoping that all the numbers are really bringing it home for you. And I have so many people who are like, well, I'll buy another coin. And I'm like, you don't get it. There isn't another coin. It's just Bitcoin at this point that they're all buying up and gobbling up as much as they possibly can. Fidelity, New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, and BlackRock from the Rockefeller family, and also Bakkt, which is also the subsidiary of the New York Stock Exchange, have all announced that they are in Bitcoin. They wanted to start cryptocurrency exchanges. They have cryptocurrency funds, cryptocurrency retirement, this, yada, yada, yada. But we have no numbers from them. We know that they're into the Bitcoin space, and we can therefore assume that they've been buying up Bitcoin. You would not bet on something being the new world reserve currency if you had not purchased it yourself. That's like being a bank and betting on gold rising and not holding any gold. It just doesn't logically make any sense. And we have no numbers from them. We know that they're in the space, but we do not know how much Bitcoin that they bought. I'm going to assume it's more than 1,000 Bitcoin. If some of the other people, if Raoul Pal has at least 777 Bitcoin, we can assume that the New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, and Fidelity probably each have around 15, 25, 30, potentially more 1,000 Bitcoin each. Assumption, no numbers. They don't even go into the final calculation because of how absolutely insane all of this is. Still, digging even further, you can assume that if the company, the corporation, the entity, New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, Fidelity, BlackRock owns some Bitcoin, that the CEO, the CIO, and all these other, CTO, probably own some Bitcoin as well. Just logically speaking, they probably are also hedging their bets and saying, well, you know what, fine, let's purchase 15,000 ourselves. People, for some reason, if I give news like this on the other channel that we have this going on, I think people don't really dig a lot deeper and go, if this bank, if this company, if this corporation's holding it, their friends are probably also holding it. Hey, I just accumulated 15,000 Bitcoin and I'm going to hedge and say that Bitcoin by next year is going to be 300,000. I have 5 million to spare. I'll also jump into that as well. This is exactly how it works. And the more money that they end up making, the more people that end up getting into the market, and the higher the prices go. The higher the prices go, the more people that get into the market. On top of that, JP Morgan Chase has released Bitcoin price predictions and where they think the Bitcoin price is going to go. Citibank just announced last week that they see the US dollar dropping by 20% in value in 2021, based off of stimulus, based off of 19, yada, yada, yada. And at the same exact time, they predicted that by next year, in 13 months, that the price of Bitcoin could hit 300,000 US dollars. We have no numbers as to how much JP Morgan, if Bitcoin is held by JP Morgan, or if Citibank holds any Bitcoin as well. But one can assume if Citibank and JP Morgan Chase are releasing price predictions for a $1,000 Bitcoin, gosh darn it. One can only assume that they at least hold one Bitcoin, if not 1,000, if not 10,000. This is why I said it's crazy, because the numbers that we do have kind of all trail off around 2015, 2016. This is the last time that we really get numbers from individual people. And now we have hundreds of millions of billions of dollars coming into the cryptocurrency market. And these companies and these individuals and these banks are not telling us how much they're buying. Oh boy. For those of you who don't know, earlier this year, in the end of last year, we had information that within Germany, they gave the allowance of every German bank to be able to buy, hold, sell, and custody Bitcoin. A lot of that news has kind of been overshadowed with everything that's been happening this year, but this is still major news because the day after German authorities said that they were able to do this, 40 banks signed up. 40 banks within Germany signed up to be able to buy, hold, sell, custody, trade potentially cryptocurrencies on a cryptocurrency exchange platform. What do you need to be able to have these services on your platform? You need to have Bitcoin, which means these 40 banks are probably also buying Bitcoin so that when people go to their websites to buy Bitcoin, to sell Bitcoin, to trade Bitcoin, they have the liquidity to be able to handle that. Also, the OCC, the Office of the Comptroller of Currency within the United States, Google this right now, the OCC, Office of the Comptroller of Currency, allowed 2 months ago every single bank within the United States to buy, hold, sell, and custody Bitcoin. See how it's all coming together? It's all coming right back to one really crazy thing. The idea was for a lot of people for a long time that Bitcoin was going to be banned, governments wouldn't like it. Money is so deep into this right now, there's no banning Bitcoin. There's only accepting Bitcoin and understanding that Bitcoin is more than likely going to be the or a world reserve currency. JP Morgan Chase and Citibank have said that the US dollar is going to fall and Bitcoin's going to hit $300,000 per coin. On top of that, there are a couple of companies who have checked the blockchain and have figured out that based off of news, based off of analytics, there are at least 4 to 6 million Bitcoin lost and gone forever. If you've been here before, you know these numbers. The entire idea is in 2010, Bitcoin was worth peanuts. It was worth nothing. There are people who were able to gather up, buy, whatever, 30,000 Bitcoin at a time, had it on a computer, forgot about it, threw it away. Now that computer is in a landfill somewhere and they cannot get that Bitcoin back because it's stuck on that computer. This is why we have the number for 4 to 6 million Bitcoin being lost and gone forever. If there's 21 million Bitcoin and 4 to 6 million are lost and gone forever, and the last Bitcoin won't be created until the year 2140, you can Google that as well. This means that the supply has gotten even tighter. We heard yesterday that there's a company in Canada called Cypherpunk Holdings, that is CYPHERPUNK Holdings, they're in Canada, that they apparently have 276,474 Bitcoin themselves. You can actually look online to see how many Bitcoin a cryptocurrency exchange has. We know that Huobi has 141,452 Bitcoin. Binance has 87,479. Like you can find the exact numbers. You can find like how many Bitcoin does Binance have? Like you can see on the actual blockchain explorer as well. They've made sure to identify their wallets to show the public, hey, these are how many that we actually have. We're not lying about what's actually on our platform. Bitfinex has 57,001 Bitcoin. Coinbase has 55,578. Bittrex has 52,002 Bitcoin. Those are the major cryptocurrency exchanges that we know. Coincheck has 33,516. Kraken has 22,219. And BitMEX on their cold storage wallet has 14,944. Binance's cold wallet has 13,388. The other mind-blowing news, Bitcoin is created by machines. You have a machine, you set it up to validate transactions. The validation of the transactions helps it keep the network secure. As you are validating transactions, the network gifts you Bitcoin. It says, thank you for protecting me. Here's some sprinkles of Bitcoin. And we know mathematically that this is why Bitcoin is finite and scarce, because we can also calculate exactly how much is going to come out every single day. There are 900 Bitcoin created every single day around the world. If 900 sounds like a lot to you, it's not. 7.4 billion people on the planet, 900 is not a lot. There's not enough Bitcoin to go around for every billionaire and millionaire on the planet. It's just not an actual thing. Every day, 900 Bitcoin are created by the network. PayPal and Cash App alone are buying 100% of every new created Bitcoin every single day. You know what's crazy? Remember all the names I just told you, all the companies, all the banks, all the institutions, how much they have, and the assumption that they're at least buying 1 Bitcoin a day, which is probably a lot more. If Grayscale once told us that they had 500,000 Bitcoin, the next day they say, now we have 526,000. And that was before the Guggenheim Fund announced that they're going to be putting $500 million into Bitcoin as well. If PayPal and Cash App by themselves are buying every Bitcoin that's created, where do the other Bitcoin come from? They come from cryptocurrency exchanges. So all the other coins that have already been minted, have already been mined, are sitting on the cryptocurrency exchanges that I just told you about, that we know the numbers for. If you want to buy, if your friend wants to buy, if Novogratz wants to buy, if Raoul Pal wants to buy, if any institution wants to buy, where do they get their cryptocurrency from? A cryptocurrency exchange. This is exactly why we've seen the prices skyrocketing the last couple of weeks and the last couple of months. This is why, if the supply is so short, and banks already know this, why they would have the audacity to say out loud that Bitcoin in 13 months is going to hit $300,000. Do you understand? Is this all finally coming together? I wanted to make this video for so long. You can't believe. I was waiting for someone to make a video like this, and I was like, no one's doing this. No one's putting all these numbers together. And this is why it's so completely mind-blowing. Because once all that Bitcoin is gone, there's going to be nothing left. All the richest people on the planet will own Bitcoin in some form or capacity. It's either going to be them owning 200,000 Bitcoin, or you owning an entire Bitcoin, or your friend owning 1/5 of a Bitcoin. You will be the only Bitcoin owners on this planet. Even crazier, there's a guy named Max Kaiser, and he said this a couple days ago, and it made so much actual sense. He said what's going to end up happening is, which already is a thing. He said the institutions and the companies and corporations are going to start going directly to the actual mining companies who are creating Bitcoin and tell them, hey, we want to buy this directly off of you. Cutting out the middleman, stopping the process of these coins going to cryptocurrency exchanges. They go directly into the hands of the companies and corporations and the banks I was just telling you about. And these are the banks and institutions that we know about, that we have access to. We have access to this information because of the internet. Imagine the numbers that we don't have access to. We heard in 2018 that there was a guy in Dubai, who knows where he is now. This guy told his fund managers and stuff like that he wanted as much Bitcoin as possible. Within a month, he had accumulated 30,000 Bitcoin. We don't hear jack squat about this guy in the news anymore. Imagine if there are 26 million millionaires, and I think that might even be a low number, 21 million Bitcoin, all these millionaires and billionaires already buying tons of Bitcoin. Just imagine the effect that's going to have on the market, and you buying Bitcoin, and your friend buying Bitcoin. Even if you buy 1/100th of a Bitcoin, that takes off a percentage of the amount of Bitcoin that's going to be out there. If 100 people during a day buy 1/100th of a Bitcoin, that is another Bitcoin completely being taken away. And once again, these are the numbers that we know about. So, the total of the numbers that I gave, that's not including the numbers that we don't know, come out to 8.4 million Bitcoin. And there was some other calculation that I did. It was 8.4 million Bitcoin. And then it was 464,000 Bitcoin is currently on the largest cryptocurrency exchanges. It comes out to 9.1 million Bitcoin. And then the 4 to 6 million that's lost and gone forever, that's 13 to 15 million Bitcoin that we can account for, that we know is in the hands of companies and in the hands of people. Don't forget also that we had news last year that there are companies who are buying up Bitcoin and they're storing it inside of mountains in Switzerland. We are witnessing a wealth transfer unlike anything that any of us could have ever possibly begun to imagine. I'm lightheaded. There was another hedge fund manager something earlier today who announced that Bitcoin is going to be the brand new best thing, stating that in 2018 he was completely wrong and how amazing Bitcoin is right now. If we hit a Bitcoin price of 300, first of all, we're going to hit 100,000. I give it 6-7 months. If we hit a Bitcoin price of $300,000, this means that the US dollar is done. If the US dollar is done and Bitcoin is at $300,000 and has started to absorb value from gold, which is what we've also been hearing the last couple of days as well, if you've been following the other channel, hedge fund managers have announced that they're selling off their gold to buy up Bitcoin. Gold's price continues to fall while Bitcoin's price continues to go up. You are going to be some of the richest people on the planet if you own any Bitcoin. The number that we had before in 2018 was that if you own 0.28 Bitcoin, that is 28% of a Bitcoin, you are part of the 1% of Bitcoin owners in the world, and there are millions of people who will never ever have more Bitcoin than you. I'm certain at this point that number has fallen even lower because there is so much little Bitcoin actually in the world circulating. These are the numbers that I, a normal person, was able to find on the internet. Imagine how many rich people in the Hamptons, in Miami, in Paris, in London, in Dubai, in South Africa, in Tokyo, in Hong Kong, in Beijing, are also buying at the exact same time. These are for the mega numbers. Now imagine the smaller people who want to get in on it as well. They're also buying as much as they possibly can. I've seen people, there was one guy in the comment section, hello if you're watching this, he mentioned from years ago, he said, since I started watching your videos, I've been accumulating small amounts of Bitcoin. He recently said in the comment section that he has an entire Bitcoin now after 3 years of accumulation. Think how many other 7.4 billion people on the planet, how many other people have been doing that exact same thing? I think we're going to see the real crunch very soon. And the crunch meaning the lack of actual Bitcoin out there at all. It's going to shock a lot of people. It's going to cause a huge amount of people to try and get into the cryptocurrency space. And one of the things that's been predicted for a very long time, one of the things that's going to propel us to $500,000 to $1 million Bitcoin are people who still remain skeptical, are people who still go, it's not going to do nothing. It's such a bubble. If all the things I just told you, that's it's not even a tenth of the information that we've been getting. All the world's banks, the world's economy, the hedge fund managers, we've even had countries before who told the International Monetary Fund that they wanted to buy up Bitcoin so that they could create bonds against Bitcoin. You can Google it. Type in IMF bond Bitcoin, and I'm pretty sure you'll find it. There were 3 or 4 countries who announced, like, we need to, our currency's garbage, we need to buy Bitcoin to create bonds against Bitcoin. And that's when Bitcoin's price is where it is right now. And it was even lower before. I am so hyped. I can't begin to describe it. Like, this is going to, the world's already changed because of this year. This is going to throw the world completely on its axis. And we are going to have the world's first trillionaire, and they're going to come from the cryptocurrency space. Once again, these are the numbers that I was able to find, and I'm pretty sure I still missed at least 10 people from this list. I do hope that you all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope that it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening. Do you understand what's happening? When you talk about generational wealth being moved and who are going to be the richest people on the planet, this is it. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening. My head is, dude, my head's going crazy. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.